This is Chad Bilyeu, creator of Chad in Amsterdam, and you are listening to the True North Country Comics Podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics Podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. If you want to drop me a line, you can contact me at john@truenorthcountrycomics.com. On this episode, I chat with Chad Bilyeu about Chad in Amsterdam at the 2022 Toronto Comic Arts Festival. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. It's also available on the True North Country Comics channel on YouTube. I invite you to like and subscribe. Born and raised in Cleveland, Chad studied, worked, and came of age in Washington, D.C. Currently residing in Amsterdam, he's a writer, art director, producer, editor, and publisher. His acclaimed autobiographical series, Chad in Amsterdam, details his life as an atypical American living in the Dutch capital. Chad has written and published 6 issues of Chad in Amsterdam in the last 3 years, featuring art from an international array of artists. In 2021, Chad ventured into the realm of comic anthology with his title Megala, which gives a curated selection of artists 8 pages to create a story. For TCAF, Chad will be debuting a new comic entitled The Re-Up, created with his good friend and illustrator Juliette DeWitt. Chad in Amsterdam is described as a tale of an obstinate autodidact in one of the world's most infamous places. Amsterdam is a city that most know of, but do not know much about. This comic book is a portrait of diverse metropolis as presented by a man destined to live there. And so, without further ado, here's my chat with Chad Bilyeu about Chad in Amsterdam at the 2022 Toronto Comic Arts Festival. So, Chad Bilyeu, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Word, thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time. Before we get started, though, with the questions, want to ask you, if you remember, what was the first comic book that you read?
I'm pretty certain it was Hot Stuff by Harvey Comics.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain that was and I was a young kid. I had to be like probably 3 something years old. So that was probably the first thing that I got into. And then I think after that, it was the Green Lantern where Hal Jordan quit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it's at like 179 or something like that. But it was the one where he quit. And I just remember I was so fascinated at this comic book character who quit. That was something to me. So and I was pretty young. I guess I was probably 7 years old when that came out. And I used to read Archie and more Hot Stuff and things like that before, but it was that Green Lantern that kind of got me into it. Then cool. I got into X-Men after that.
Ah, right. Yes, exactly. Well, those are definitely good inspirations growing up, but I'm wondering who or what inspires you to create today?
Today, probably, I mean, that's such a loaded question for comic people. There's probably so many. But at the moment, the last person who really, there's two artists that I'm really digging lately. I really like Darwin Cook. In peace. Yep. His Parkers just kind of blew me away, and to the point that I'm actually in the process of reading all the Richard Stark's original books.
Right.
And I know he didn't write them, but the adaptation was so well done, it felt like it was his. And then also I've been really loving Jacques Tardy, the French guy. He's done a lot of, war comics or noir comics, and it's a nice black and white style, really moody but kind of loose, and the stories are always nice. And he also tends to be one of these artists who teams up with another writer, sometimes his wife, sometimes Manchette and other very nice crime writers, but he always comes up with really nice stuff. So at the moment, I would probably say Tardy and Darwin Cook are the guys I'm kind of feeling the most.
Cool. Well, we're here talking about the exhibition that will be taking place at the Toronto Comic Arts Festival. You'll be tabling. But with that in mind, I'm wondering, do you have any past favorite convention or festival moments that you can share?
I mean, well, not to pander, but TCAF is definitely one because I love Toronto. I've been going to Toronto since like '98. I first went for a Caravana, so I know Toronto pretty well. I've been there a lot in my life, so it's always nice to go there. And that was just a cool festival in general. I like that it's in the library. I like how they kind of collocate big people next to upstarts. That's nice. So it's just a good vibe. I had a nice time there. I also just recently went to the festival in Angoulême, the super prestigious one over there in France, and that was quite a nice one because I had never really been to a festival like that. It's it's kind of like if you're in the Xerox machines, you sell Xerox machines, and there's this big festival every day or every year for all the people who actually sell them or in
Mm-hmm.
the business go to. It's more like that. So you get all the professionals are there, and there, of course, there's fans and whatnot too, but there's a lot of pros, and that was nice to meet the pros, either the creators, the writers, the critics, the academics who were in it. So that was nice. It was a real different vibe and really nice exhibits in actual museums. So that
Mm-hmm.
was kind. I have to say, if you're a comic fan, you got to go to Angoulême at least once in your life. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, I've heard a
So
lot of good things about it. That's for sure.
I like that a lot. And then I guess just on a personal tip, I did. There's a festival called Short Run in Seattle. I did it back in 2018. And so a good friend of mine, I was in DC and then I was headed to Seattle. And a friend of mine, he runs this sign spinning business. So he was like, send me your logo. And I'm like, all right. He's like, where's your next joint? I said, in Seattle at the Short Run. So I show up in Seattle and there's this young guy there and he's doing like, he did like sign spinning with Chad at Amsterdam on it.
No way. Wow.
It, it was hilarious. I went with a friend of mine. I'm originally from Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And I went with my friend. He was sitting at the festival with me, and he was like, this is funny. He said, because this is one of these things that's either going to really work really well or really work really poorly.
Right.
And it actually worked pretty well because I sold a nice amount of comics. And
Hey,
at the time, I only had two comics out, my first issue and my second.
there you go.
So it went well. So yeah, the sign spinner worked, at least in Seattle. So that was a great experience, I must say.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Well, as I said, you'll be showcasing at the Toronto Comic Arts Festival this year, back in person. So, with that in mind, I'm wondering what books will be at your table that you'll be showcasing.
Okay, I got a few actually now. I got last time I was there in 2019, I had two issues of Chat in Amsterdam. Now I have six. So anybody who saw me last time, I got four new issues for you. I personally think the quality of them has been getting better. The writing in particular, I always like the art, but because I work with a bunch of artists. But um, I also have the first issue of an anthology I did called Mechila, maybe in Hebrew. And it's like we got six artists in there. Everyone's got 8 pages, and it's folks from Amsterdam, all over the world. Bernie Miro, Canadian, is in there, so that's great. And just some real nice short stories, all in color. And then I'm debuting a new book with my friend. She'll be there as well, Juliette DeVitt. She's normally a children's book illustrator, but we did the first issue of what we hope to be a ongoing comic. We call it The Re-Up, and yeah, it's about selling weed. So
Huh.
that's what I'm debuting, and then I have the rest of the issues, which are new to the people who haven't gotten them yet.
Very good. Just going back to Chad in Amsterdam, is it as the story just as direct as the title says? It's your exploits in Amsterdam, or is there more to it?
Yeah, it's usually that. I like to veer off from just strictly autobiographical stories sometimes. So on occasion, do something that's a little bit more fictional. I've got one in the latest issue. There's a story with Brad Pitt, and I don't know that what I wrote actually happened, but I'm figuring it's pretty close to what actually happened because
Oh,
Brad Pitt kind of has a long history with Amsterdam. In
okay.
particular, the movie Ocean's 12.
Right.
And then there's another fictional piece in the fifth one, which is a Santa Claus issue. So yeah, I delve into more fictional stuff, or even sometimes if it is a factual story, it's not always about me. I see that the comic has two main characters, myself and the city of Amsterdam, so it's not always strictly about my life.
Right, right. Well, I said you sent along some pages from your work, and it's very very intriguing. But the artistic style varies all over the place because you get artists from different genres, different interests. So, with that in mind, I wonder if you could tell me, how do you find the artists that help you with your books?
Yeah, great question. A lot of the artists are people I actually know. So maybe maybe 60% of the people in there I know in one way or another. In addition, there's a lot of folks who I just kind of found on the internet, particularly on Instagram. Instagram is nice because it's kind of just like a portfolio for artists. You go on, you see what they do. It's very easy to contact them. Usually, there's the email button is there. I send them a message or I email them directly, and I do pay, so that helps. Artists
Hmm.
love to come with money.
Yes.
I mean, of course, who doesn't? So I just approach them, and at this point, I think I have my reputation solid that they see that I actually do produce work and that I also pay because there's been no issues with that. So they're like, yeah, we can work. So I send them a script and then, I get my roughs. I okay the roughs and any other issues they may have, and then I let them do their thing.
Very good. What is it though when you're looking through their portfolios? Is there some aspect that you're looking for? Does that have to strike you visually in a certain way? What is it that makes you choose a particular artist?
Well, I try. Definitely, there's got to be some, aesthetic attraction to their art. And I'm pretty diverse in the comics I like, in the art I like, like, I mean, I've ranged from George Perez, rest in peace, to like
Hmm.
Beard Panther. And I think there's just so much room for, I mean, it doesn't have to be one particular type of style. If anything in the final book, I would prefer, a myriad of almost contrasting styles. So I try to find people who don't look the same, kind
Hmm.
of,
Hmm.
and then also kind of try to tailor the story to their aesthetic. Like, if there's a guy like someone who likes to draw, I don't know. I mean, I try to see what they're into, or even ask them, "What do you like to draw?" Or does this story appeal to you? Because I hate to have people drawing stuff that they really don't want to draw. I
Right.
think that's
Exactly. Yeah.
So I try to either look at what they do, see if I got a style that I can meet them halfway with, or ask them what they're into. And you'd be surprised, a lot of people even know Amsterdam a bit, or they've been here, so they have some sort of affinity with the place, which
Right.
makes it always easier to work with them on that particular book.
Sure. Sure. That's for sure. Well, you've talked about a lot of the different books that you'll have at your table at TCAF, but I'm wondering, do you have any other up and coming projects that you can talk about?
Well, this re-up is very new, and this will be the first issue, and it's pretty much the North American debut will be there. Um, I have, I got a few. One I don't want to blow just yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
One would be a biography if I ever get around to it, and then one would be in the realm of superheroes.
Ah.
And
Hmm.
at the moment, I'm just going to focus on these 2, 3 books, see what I can do. But I always do Chad in Amsterdam because that just has a certain place in my heart. This is about my life,
Right.
and then we'll expand. So I was like, okay, I actually wanted to do my superhero story second, but the artist is busy. So we'll push that off for a little bit, but that's a real nice one. I can't wait to get around to that. So I've got a few things in several subgenres of comics, superhero I'd like to do. I'd like to do something in the biographical realm. And then maybe I have a friend who has a good story. And so I guess that's also a little biographical because it's his story rather than mine. And that would be cool to get into. So I like reality, but I do want to delve into a real quick superhero thing as well.
Sounds cool. Absolutely something to look forward to for sure. So we've been talking about TCAF, and with that in mind, I'm wondering, will you be attending any other festivals or conventions this year?
Um, let's see. I mean, I would hope to do short run again in like I think it's in November. Uh, Otherwise, I don't know. I did because I just did a few, so I'm really not sure. I will be back at Angoulême, but that's not so much a tabling one. I just kind of go and enjoy myself and meet all the contemporaries and whatnot. Um, so I don't know. TCAF for sure. I mean, mice would be nice, but nothing is confirmed yet. But
Right.
I'm always looking to do a festival because that's how we get out there and how we make our sales. So there'll be something else. There's one over here if you're in the Netherlands called Strip Dag in Haarlem, which is in Haarlem, the Netherlands. If you're over here, you can check that one out. But right now it's just Strip Dag and yeah, TCAF. Next year I'll probably do. There's one in Switzerland called Fumetto. That was really nice. And then I don't know. I'm not sure. It's hopefully one day LCAF in London as well. I've been wanting to do that one as
Right.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're busy with work and traveling to different festivals. But with that in mind, do you have a website and social media where you recommend people go to find out about your current and your future projects?
Sure. Real simple. Chad in Amsterdam. .nl for Netherlands is where you can purchase the comics. I'm also on Bandcamp at Bistro Books. You could get them there if you prefer Bandcamp. And then I'm on Twitter and on Instagram. Also, if you Google Chad in Amsterdam, I'll come right up. So that's where I'm at. I'm not hard to find.
Thanks to Chad for the chat. You can discover more about Chad on Twitter at Chad in Amsterdam, on Instagram at Bistro Books, and online at chadinamsterdam.nl. And thanks to you for listening to the True North Country Comics podcast. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to and like this podcast on Apple Podcasts. And please leave a good rating. Also check out the TrueNorthCountryComics.com website and follow along on Twitter at True North Comics. True North Country Comics is now on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to that video channel. Please send your feedback to John at TrueNorthCountryComics.com. Thanks again for listening, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2022.